Welcome back to Startup Street. The India consumer tech industry is set to rise as the total addressable market will reach $300 billion by 2027, growing at a CAGR of 25%. This is according to a report by Chiratae Ventures in collaboration with 1Lattice and Google. First installment of a three-part annual report series, the report combines secondary research and primary surveys conducted with respondents nationwide. And to elaborate on the key findings of the report, joining me now is Anup N. Menon, Principal Investments at Chiratae Ventures. Anup, welcome to Startup Street. Like I mentioned earlier, the current total addressable market of the consumer tech industry is currently valued at $100 billion and will reach $300 billion by 2027, as per your report. What makes you bullish? Where do you see the next phase of growth coming in, especially now with AI?
Yeah, thanks, Shruti, for having me over. The sector's 25% CAGR effectively can be attributed to both, say, macroeconomic factors and also probably the sector-specific dynamics. The industry is sort of benefited from macroeconomic conditions, including rise in GDP per capita, a rise of disposable income, widespread internet penetration, and definitely the growing trust which users have on some of these online platforms, backed by the digital public infrastructure which is in place.
All right, as we all know, India's digital public infrastructure has strengthened, whether it's ONDC or payments. Where do you see the next wave of growth coming in? Also, if you could elaborate on the population scale solutions that have played a major role in unlocking India's consumer potential.
Yeah, I think Chiratae has been investing in the consumer tech space for the last 17 years. We've sort of seen this journey almost with a front row seat as such. I think we are at exciting times where the digital public infrastructure which has been laid out has democratized access and reduced the cost of this intermediation. Right. A case in point, I think a lot has been talked about the overall addressable market itself. But when you look at a startup like Lenskart, which from Chiratae's own portfolio, it's created now a $450 million enterprise with just about transacting user base of 20 to 25 million. The DPI, and especially with the newer platforms like ONDC, which has picked up pace in the last few months, is effectively trying to address this asymmetry, as we say, in access, affordability, and availability of products and services through the existing platforms.
Okay, let's now, Anup, delve into some of the sectors you've mentioned in the report. Online and professional gaming is on the rise in India, and the report suggests that there is an increasing number of active female gamers, which is close to 60%. But this sector has been marred by regulations, Anup. So what makes you bullish on gaming?
Yeah, no, firstly, on the number of 60% is effectively coming out from our samples. Sample size of the respondents, 60% of them were female gamers. But interestingly, they were all mostly into puzzles and casual games rather than the hardcore, mid-core games as such. Rise of women gamers overall and gaming studios who are building out female playing characters is on the rise worldwide as well. We recently saw, say, Grand Theft Auto, the GTA 6 coming up and introducing for the first time in their 25-year legacy, a female character called Lucia as well, right? I think India will just follow the same path. Yes, this sector has been marred with, regulations. It has taken a slight hit. But from an investor's perspective, I think it has brought a lot of clarity, I would say, in terms of the legality and how the revenue streams and profit pools are going to rise.
Also, Anup, e-commerce and health tech are also gaining traction among Indian digital consumers due to the shift from offline to online channels for apparel and groceries. Also, health tech is growing at a CAGR of 40% almost, with online pharmacy being the most used platform in metro and tier 1 cities. So what makes you bullish that this growth momentum will continue?
Yeah, no, organized retail overall in India is just about 18-20%, right? And online is just about 7-8% of that, of the overall pie. Same, probably digital health is even more lesser than that. With the growth momentum in e-commerce will effectively be driven, as I said, about the rise of these niche segments of consumers, their higher disposable incomes, and the need for them, for brands, the need gap on brands and to fulfill that opportunity that lies. Both on e-commerce and health, again, I think we're seeing the tip of the iceberg, and there's a lot more to come in the next 5 to 10 years.
Anup, let's now talk about the key success factors for scaled impact in the consumer tech industry that the report talks about, like product innovation, vertical integration, you've got omni-channel strategies and more. If you could elaborate on them.
In our 17-year journey, I think a lot of founders have experimented and figured out at what points do they sort of venture into new strategies, right? And that's how we were able to sort of bring these five pillars together and put this as a customer success, a consumer tech success playbook as such. The first pillar obviously being product innovation. I think gone are the days where just as a marketplace, you could rely on trading margins and tend to your customers. Vertical integration from our end effectively means that you're taking more control of the entire value chain, be it manufacturing, supply chain, distributions. On the omni-channel piece, again, we know that there is a part of India which is still consuming a lot of products and services offline. The ability to sort of cater to that segment is by showing presence on ground, building trust, building a brand for yourself. Spoken about DPI, that's the fourth pillar. And last but not the least is internationalization, which effectively means Indian brands which are looking at adjacent geographic markets, could be with similar user behaviors.
All right, Anup, before we wrap up, talk to us about the emerging trends such as social commerce, immersive shopping experiences that are kind of reshaping the global consumer landscape today.
With the rise of social media and the influence of social media, I think there are, influencers who effectively are able to leave an impact on the purchasing decisions or the purchasing aspects that a user goes through, right? Especially in the tier 2, tier 3 markets where we believe it is still not a DIY, but more of a DFY market. And on the rise of experiential retail, I think while there is an ability of the digital platforms to provide infinite catalog, still commerce and retail still remains a touch and feel. People would like to experience a few elements through technology, see how, say, a shirt or a trouser or a eyewear would look on them before they make their final call on purchase.
Okay, thank you so much, Anup, for joining us on Startup Street today and taking us through the key highlights of your consumer tech report. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Startup Street. More news and